Origin 2.
No, I liked. Yeah. Then he runs out into the wilderness, right at the end. Is that what happens? Because that's where we pick up in the second one.
It must be, yeah.
It must be right after, like chronologically. If he, so it's like 13 years later, then Origin 2 comes out. It's like 2014, so I hadn't read a comic book in years at this point.
Yeah. Origin 2 is 2014.
So this one I found to be very repetitive of the first one, like the sort of the same thing, like the same thing happens with he like gets close to somebody and then kills them himself, basically. Like, yeah, that's just what seems to keep happening. It's not even that they get ripped away from him, it's that it's him that does it, which, I mean, that seems worse, obviously.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But I really liked the first part of this one, the first issue with the wolves and the bear.
Yes.
There was like almost no text, but the style, especially with like the white polar bear with like the blood all over its mouth.
Yeah, that was. I remember that specific page.
Super striking, and that was. Yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite like panels in comic books that I've read so far.
Nice. Yeah.
And just even he like goes with the animals to like, because he's like, they're the only people I can relate to, and then even they get like mangled. Yeah. So he's like rolling with the wolves and using his claws to like kill deer for them and stuff, and then a polar bear just shows up out of nowhere, and it turns out it's like from this circus, right?
Well, it turns out to be from Mr. Sinister,
right?
Who at that time was only known as Essex, like Nathaniel Essex, I think is his full name. But Logan, I guess I'll call him Logan at this point. Like, I don't know.
Wolverine. Let's just call him Wolverine.
Wolverine. So yeah, Wolverine doesn't notice that there's like it's like tagged for Essex as an experiment or whatever, but he's just been kind of like following this bear, and he just kind of feels it like, oh, like this bear's hungry, like maybe I'll like bring him some food and stuff, and he's just trying to like help with the natural order, and then this bear just gets too hungry, I guess, and just fucks up his whole wolf pack.
Right. Right. They like avoid the bear, right?
Yeah.
Like avoids the bear, and then one day the bear just comes anyway.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. And then there's the storyline with Essex. So like he finds out, or actually doesn't find out, but Essex finds out that something killed his polar bear, and so he's like, what the hell? And then they send out like tracking teams and stuff. And then they capture him, and then they turn him into like a circus prop.
Right, yeah, he's like in a cage, and they're like, come see the Wolverine man, or whatever.
Yeah, and they're just like shocking him every night so that his claws will come out, and he's obviously not cooperating. And yeah, it's a bad scene. It's a bad time. Like it's kind of the first.
Is that the same time where he's like cutting him, or does that come later?
I think that's slightly later, but it's still that first part of the storyline. Yeah,
he's like cutting his muscles to like learn about him. Like they would use old bodies for him, and he's still alive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was another excruciating panel of it's just Nathaniel Essex, like it's him talking in like laboratory notes about like, ooh, look at the way his bones mend together and stuff, and it's a shot of like Wolverine's like arm or leg, whatever it is, just like a shattered bone, and all his flesh and sinew like slowly growing itself back together. And you can tell that Essex has just been doing this over and over again to him. Just kind of get data. Essex, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated villains.
Yeah.
In Marvel, he's behind a whole bunch of plots. He's responsible for. I'm pretty sure he's responsible for like Deadpool's origins. He's involved with Cable's origins. He's just kind of like this real scientific mastermind who has kept himself alive since the early 1900s. That's why he's part of the early 1900s story of Wolverine. Simply because he's like a geneticist. He's like a genius, mad scientist geneticist. And yeah, I think he was hinted to in the maybe not in the MCU, but in I think it was one of the Deadpools. There was like a bunch of vials labeled Essex in one of them. I think it was supposed to be a prelude to the Gambit movie, which I don't think is happening. Yeah. Yeah, which is unfortunate because I was really looking forward to him being like introduced like that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So, do you remember X-Men Origins Wolverine? I haven't seen it in a long time. It's been years. But
barely, kind of. That I believe that was the one where they.
But Deadpool's in it, right?
Yeah.
He's not in any of these.
Yeah, Deadpool. Yeah. It's Ryan Reynolds is in it as like part of like an elite squad or whatever.
Right.
Who's trying to like take him out or something.
And it mostly takes place in like just before modern day, right? That movie. It's not like in Victorian era or whatever it is.
No.
Yeah. So it's like totally different.
Yeah, it would. Yeah, it's definitely the like Weapon X origin.
Yeah.
Story, which is So it's more like Wolverine Metal origin.
Yeah, they have the same name.
Yeah. So then there's first of all you recognize a very saber-tooth looking guy who they keep calling Creed, which is the last name of Sabretooth. And then this chick that turns out to be his sister. Who's got like a half melted face because they both kind of have a healing factor, and she volunteered and told Creed, the saber-tooth looking dude, to like keep pouring acid on her face, and they did that like all afternoon, and it like kept healing, but then it got stuck or something, and so that's why half her face is mangled because they were like, I don't know why you wouldn't test on your arm or something. But yeah. Anyway, that must have been a hell of an afternoon.
So they hint at later in that Wolverine and Sabretooth are brothers, right? Don't they? Or is that just something totally...
I think that might have been something hinted at like in some of the early movies that isn't actually a thing.
Okay.
I could be wrong. I could be wrong about that. There might be more connection like
maybe
initially,
after.
But yeah. Anyway, in this, I don't think it's just basically the hunting team that's sent after him. It very much looks like Sabretooth is one of the dudes. And then again, spoilers, the big reveal at the end is okay. Well, first off, he gets close to Sabretooth looking Creed and Two-Face. Gets close to them both, and then ends up accidentally killing the chick.
Yeah.
Or something.
But isn't she supposed to have a healing factor?
Yeah, but not a good one as Wolverine, I guess. He kills the saber-tooth looking Creed by drowning him, which is pretty smart.
In some special, what was the goo? It was like
that's true. It was it's something that Essex uses to like create like non-feeling order-taking super soldiers.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, it just like dulls the feeling and stuff, and so there's kind of like a little storyline where like Creed and Wolverine are considering taking this potion just so they don't have to feel anymore.
Oh right, it like kills their soul is what they were saying.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, so he kills Sabretooth looking Creed, and then it's revealed at the end. Well, I guess maybe the chick doesn't die. I think like maybe he just feels the guilt of her dying because he does stab her, but then she ends up living, and then the very last panel of Origin 2 is the actual Sabretooth shows up, and he's way bigger and scarier. Basically, Wolverine killed Sabretooth's little brother and thinks he killed his sister, and so I guess that by showing him in the last panel, that's automatically, like, I guess Sabretooth's motivation. Part of one of the first things that he hates Wolverine for, right, is he killed his little brother.
Fair enough.
So, yeah. Yep. So that's Origin 2. So it uses a lot of the Same kind of elements. That one, I don't think I've read Origin 2, so that the reveal at the end that was Sabretooth was a surprise for me. So
Okay.
I was like, how did he die? Like, what happened there? Like, how did he come back and stuff? And then, it turns out he's the older brother. I was like, oh, cool. That's the whole beginning of that. So,
I definitely prefer the first one.
Yeah, definitely agree. Yeah,
it seems more of like a more twisty. Although I do think it's kind of they deal with some issues, or they deal with some things that are interesting in the second one. I like the wolf fight, or the wolf stuff in the first book, and then I think that the like experiments being put upon him is another interesting thing they do.
Yeah, a good way to I think both were really smart in just introducing themes that are consistent throughout his storyline, in totally unique ways.
Yeah.
So I definitely thought that was a positive.
Definitely read it for the first book, the Wolf book. I think that's where it's at.
Definitely the highlight. Yeah, I'm a big fan of visual storytelling in comic books. Some of the time, like, you can feel shortchanged because you read them so much faster than the ones with text. So you just kind of like, sometimes you can, breeze through it, and then you're like, oh damn, like, that was quick. But I very much appreciate when I can follow, a line of storytelling when it's just like pictures like that and panels.
The walls of text are just too much. Like,
oh yeah. If we talk about the old Captain America origin story, oh my god, the exposition. Like, I can't imagine trying to talk that much when you're going through like an ordeal.
Yeah.
Anyway,
this one's a little bit more modern in its use of non-verbal.
Yeah.
They use visuals only.
Or at least like in the first origin, it's a very, like I said, it's a very literary build-up, and a lot of that is like Rose's diary entries and stuff. So there is more reading, but it's at least a more intelligent way of introducing things rather than just, like, it doesn't feel like exposition. You're telling other stories as a way to enlighten us to like elements of the current story kind of thing.
Yeah, they limit themselves a little bit more. It seems to be like only like a couple lines at most per picture, which helps, I think.
Yeah. Very, very cool for origin story. It's it's fun that it's all set in Canada. The time that it's set in is also interesting. Everything's kind of just more to the basics. And you can,
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Do you think that this is the best way to learn about Wolverine?
Yeah.
Start at the beginning, or do you start with a modern one and then use this as like a flashback? Because like
that's a good question.
I feel like they reference a lot of things that you don't really know unless you know a little bit more about Wolverine.
That's a good point. And I mean, like, it came out, like I said, the first one was 2001. So I mean, you've had 20, 30 years, I forget. His first appearance was in like the Incredible Hulk or something, but most of them appear as a periphery character or like an adversary, and then start like having their own character arc, like happened with Deadpool and others too.
Okay.
So I don't know when exactly like he started getting like most of that fleshed out, but most people were already in tune with like, it's the main things like
yeah. I'm talking about like for this reading order. Do you think that we're making the right decision in basically starting with all of the origin stories?
I do, for the way this is laid out. Yeah.
Okay.
You'd have to be under a rock to not at least have some sort of the rest of this other like cursory knowledge and stuff.
You got to know a little bit about Wolverine, like, I mean.
Yeah, to get the most out of it, for sure. Like, that's,
well, I mean, you must.
Most,
like, most people
that's
do.
True. Yeah, like the fact that James turns out to be Wolverine and not Logan, like that's only fun if you like know who Logan is, and like you're expecting certain traits, and you're like expecting a certain history too.
The little tufts.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's definitely using prior knowledge to be able to reveal that. So I guess technically, if you knew nothing about the Marvel Universe and you were just starting with this, you're not going to get as much out of it, or like nearly half of it. But again, technically, maybe if you started reading this stuff later, you'd like go back to what you read first and be like,
It's a reverse
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, there's that potential. I think for us, the reading order is perfect, and like I've read a lot of Wolverine personally. I don't know how much you've read, but
not much. Like in terms of comic books, I would say most of what I know is from the movies or like peripheral stuff I've learned about Wolverine, if that makes any sense. Like like from like books, like just random like books and stuff.
Yeah, whether it be like a Marvel Index or
that kind of stuff.
that kind of thing. Yeah, yeah.